My journey to NASA really started when I was in elementary school. That was really the first time I had heard the words climate change, and really the first time I began to understand what impact humans could have on really the world around us. My name is Liza Goldberg. I am 17 years old and a senior in high school. And for the past 4 years, I've been working at NASA to monitor global mangrove loss and its drivers. I started doing a science fair project in my backyard. I planted 8 red maple saplings, put 8 open-top experimental field warming chambers around the trees. And basically what those chambers do is they simulate climate change by trapping sunlight around the saplings themselves, and that warms the saplings a couple degrees. And I tried to test the carbon fluxes and how climate change would impact the carbon exchange of red maple saplings in the future. I entered that project into a local science fair, and there actually happened to be a judge who worked at NASA Goddard. And I think he saw how really obsessed I was with my field, how in love I was with environmental science, and he offered me an internship at NASA. My day starts at 4 o'clock in the morning. I drive to swim practice and I swim with my team for about an hour and a half. I then run home and I get dressed really quickly and eat breakfast. I go to school and go through all of my classes until about noon. And at noon, I actually have the opportunity to leave school early and go to work at NASA. And after that, I'm just kind of working in my office. I write a lot of papers, I code. After I finish at NASA, it's about usually 6:30 or 7 at night, and I go home, I eat dinner, I do my homework, and then I go to bed. I'm taking 5 AP classes right now, and by the time I finish high school, I will have probably taken 14 or 15. Sleep is never really the priority. Mangroves are coastal forests found around the equator around the world, and they're really valuable for coastal communities in particular because they're able to use a lot of the natural resources that mangroves are able to provide, like firewood, for example, for shelter. Mangroves provide a lot of coastal protection in cases of hurricanes and extreme weather. We've lost about half of all mangroves in the past 50 years. And in some cases, those mangrove loss rates are actually higher than that of even rainforests or coral reefs, which we typically associate with really large-scale losses. In a lot of cases, those losses are due to sea level rise. So when sea levels rise, the mangroves have to migrate inland. And so our maps are able to tell stakeholders where the sea level rise has happened in the past, so they know where it's likely to occur in the future. So what we're doing now is using my maps that essentially tell people where sea level rise is occurring and where those settlements are. We're able to advise the Everglades Foundation and other stakeholders as to the most pressing regions for conservation and restoration in the future.
When Liza came in, I think it was really a breath of fresh air because you're really kind of thinking about the details of what you're doing. You're always like, oh, I have to do this little step to get my data product this much better or to advance the science by so much. But Liza came in with like a fresh mind, and she's like, I want to make this global map and this global model of mangrove vulnerability. And the first thing that we thought was, oh, that's not possible. You can't do that. And then she started working on it, and then she kept making progress. And I was like, oh, wow, she's like actually gonna do it.
I think when I first came into NASA, I was pretty intimidated. People are, I think, sometimes at the beginning a little bit skeptical of that kid doing all of the science, but I think through talking to them, through collaborating with them, through talking to them just like an equal, they've been able to kind of reconcile that themselves.
She helps us with a lot of our problems that we have, actually. She's probably the most advanced person in my lab at using the software that she uses right now.
You walk into these huge conference halls, dozens of talks all around you, and you sit and you listen to these amazing scientists doing really groundbreaking work. And then it's your turn to go up and speak, and you start thinking to yourself, you know, what right do I have to get up here and say what I've been working on? Most people are familiar with imposter syndrome, especially for women and girls in the sciences, but for me it's kind of multiplied by 100 because being the only girl in the room or being the only high schooler in the room is difficult to kind of recognize that your opinions have value, your research has value as well. Because we don't have all of the experience of college degrees and doctorates, then we don't know what's not possible. We haven't been limited by what professors have told us yet. All we know is what we've researched and the papers we've read on our own.
I think having that youth can help because it means that you're not limited by some of the limitations that we as adults put in. Sometimes we forget the big picture, like we forget what it is that we're kind of working towards.
You'll always find people who will laugh at your ideas. I've had plenty of those people, or kind of call it silly or crazy for you to be undertaking something, some big dream that you have. But I would say don't let them get to you. Don't be intimidated by that. Because the only thing that's really limiting you is just your own passion and the amount of time that you spend on it.